Now let's move to the last part of the conference, the panel discussion, and the title of today's panel is Solutions for Setting Up Solar Cell Manufacturing Globally. I would like to welcome back Balachandra Krishnan, Christian Buchner, Dirk Habermann, and Dr. Wei-Min Lee, CTO of Lean Micro. He has not gave a presentation, but he was so kind to join our panel discussion. So I would like to welcome all.
Thanks a lot, Savan.
So, thank you. So it's really a very nice, wonderful panel we have. So we have a strong supply side, and we also have a representation from the demand side from Balachandra. So, while the production capacity in China is really progressing at an unprecedented pace, we have heard today about many activities that are happening in other parts of the globe as well. So India, of course, is strong here, but on a massive scale. US is also there, and there is also a lot of talk about Europe too. So, however, mostly it is dependent on regulatory schemes. So let's start with framework conditions. So, this is a question to all. What's needed today to start cell manufacturing as a core part of solar value chain today?
Maybe I start.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so based of my experience over many years when I started in the PV section, it was all in the beginning. It was something like gold rush condition. So there was finance, everything was working, everyone was happy. The companies are growing and getting into the market, and they got a very good positive track. But after the different crisis phases between this step, the financial environment getting more and more difficult. And particular, maybe US is maybe a little bit different now, but when you look on the European environment, etc., they are not like so much risk orientated. So they want to have no risk. So therefore, it is, of course, when you restart the technology in Europe, you need to de-risk the situation. And this means the finance risk. So, and therefore, when we look on the typical, how the projects are handled and how the different project leaders for the different turnkey productions, etc., or for the full production scaling, they are looking for equity money. And it is very hard to get these because this is the highest risk money what you have in the market there. And if the governments don't see the big value of equity, they don't step in. I think we are here in a situation where, like the dog is hunting his tail. So but we need to hear something different. I think we should focus here a little bit more on the government supporting in ramping up again these technologies, and not looking so much in the first moment on the equity of the companies. The equity will come after government support is there. We have announced in Germany. We have heard a lot about the wish to support these things, the placement of the fabs, etc. But of course, there's always a beginning, and if no one is doing the big step first, this takes a long time. So in this case, it means when the government is not really financial active supporting in government, it will be very, very difficult to rise up this technology fast enough. So we have a problem of time and of finance. And I think this was in particular when we look on how China was doing this they show it really well how to finance these things, how to move forward, how to push a new technology. And I think we have also to learn in this case from the China and government engagement in the PV section in Europe.
So, Wayman, what do you have to say on that?
Yeah, I just heard this regarding this question. Actually, I'm currently in Europe. Just by chance, a few weeks ago, I've been visiting some sites. And, because of the coronavirus situation, and the world is almost closed for 3 years, especially in China. But I think that now I come to Europe and start looking at this market. Yes, I'm pretty much agree this European, if government can do something about it to initiate some of this project, especially big project. But what I feel, we are in China. Everything goes really fast. Technology, this transformations and upgrades, and even wafer size, change really fast. But from here, from other part of the world, I feel somehow the speed is lag behind. And there are many reasons, I think, but I think that is a problem. For example, we are running 24/7, but in big part of Europe, this is not possible. So how? I think that's very important question, and people should address how do different geological different areas, how do they improve their competitiveness, not just by equities or these things, and probably somehow to catch up with this changing the trend or changing the speed. Something needs to be done. To be said, I think that the later start is not all a bad thing. For example, we are deliver turnkey solution together with our sister company. We are within the group, lead group, from everything, from the main equipment to automation and to the mesh system to control. Now the production throughput becomes really big, and also it's also changing to the smart manufacturing. So maybe it's not anymore require that much labor-intensive work in order to start this big productions. So in this case, I think it's not all bad when you start late, but you start with the higher level of automation. In such case, capital investment may not necessarily face detrimental these reasons. I think that you have the best tools, most advanced, most intelligent production lines. That's also easy to catch up.
So Christian, probably you can reflect on both the worlds, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I fully agree with Dirk's perspective on the current situation, and I think also we will be too slow. And I think before we get to see something here in Europe, except probably module manufacturing, or maybe a very few projects coming along, we do see tremendous growth earlier on in India, which is of course also great to supply cells, modules to the rest of the world, and that probably also already helps. But I fully agree. And my question to Wei Min would be, how probably would you see a Chinese tier 1 player to invest in Europe with solar cell manufacturing? Because that's another likely situation that is out there, rather than a newcomer is going to do it here in Europe. I mean, very, very similar to what happened in Turkey with Caillon.
Yeah, I think that this is a absolutely interesting question. I think that, for example, in China, many big projects, they are not necessarily funded by government nowadays because the technology is so matured already, and still lots of new things going on. So some private investment pouring or flood into this solar market. I think these are, they definitely look at the other marketing area as well. But I think that, honestly speaking, I think that the European or this part, different part of the world should do a little better to get more communication ongoing. I think that perhaps for some Chinese investment, they do not feel unsecure. They do not feel secured. Given today's international atmosphere, I think that is biggest hurdle. If they have some kind of security and guarantee, I think that they would like to go.
And we have to keep in mind, I think, just to add that, also thank you very much for your perspective, Wei Min. We have to add to that one that we are not only looking at, let's say, polysilicon wafer cell module manufacturing, but all the material is also not in Europe anymore. So we have to take a look at glass manufacturing. The paste has to come back probably. I mean, lots of supplies are also missing in the entire equation, not only the manufacturing itself. So that's also something.
Myself, I'm a strong supporter of globalization. I think that for the materials, silicon materials, and these energy-intensive productions, honestly speaking, I would not feel it's suitable in different geological areas to do that. I think that I'm firm support for globalization. You utilize the best resources at your local site. That should be the way to go. That's the problem. I think now somehow some part of the world started decoupling. I think that that makes things complicated and slow.
So Balchandar, Wei Min and already Christian, they already looked a little bit into this, how to do it sustainable. So how to avoid this, what has happened in Europe. So, you also asked for an expansion of PLI to ELI. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, for me, it's actually a very straightforward question, because we have representatives from 3 different countries. We see from India, from China, from Germany. So I feel that Germany was always focusing only on the equipment manufacturing side and not really on the cell manufacturing right from the beginning. While China initially focused on cell manufacturing and later on took the equipment manufacturing in parallel, along with they went for the complete ecosystem of the raw materials as well. So all 3 happened in parallel. So that's the only solution to be successful. So if India has to be successful like that, it has to happen that way. There's no other option.
Oh, nice.
It has to go in all the 3 segments, actually: equipment manufacturing, the cell manufacturing, along with the creation of the raw material ecosystem. All 3 things have to happen in parallel. Even if one misses, you are losing out.
We have to come to India to manufacture.
Yes, why not?
Yeah. No, I think this is a very nice intro to intro for the panel. Talking a little bit of policy, but let's actually go back to the technology. That's what the conference is really about. So, just want to know about a little bit about the incumbent first. So, PERC has improved really so much, more than anyone really believed. And last year we heard at Tang News event that equipment can still make a difference in the cost. I think, you made that remarks also. So do you see that there is still some room left, or the era for the new PERC capacities is kind of over, to everyone?
Yeah, well, because last year I have addressed this a little bit. I think that I think this it is. I believe there is still, yes, and but the window of opportunity is quickly goes. I think that because when I look at how this TOPCon lines developing at the moment in China, I think yes, they are still expensive, but the cost is drastically coming down to a very acceptable level. In such case, PERC for our equipment manufacturers for providing turnkey solution from this profit wise, we don't see that that big difference anymore. So in such case, I think that PERC, yes, there are still it's a ready and mature technology and very easy to get up and running in the full up to the full speed and the throughput you designed. But this time is gradually this window is gradually shrinks or shortens. So.
Yeah, narrowing down. Yeah.
But if you take a look at India, then actually you do see predominantly still PERC lines coming online the next, let's say, half year. So everything's in the queue is predominantly PERC and not TOPCon. And my question mark is always, if I take a look at the TOPCon lines versus the PERC lines, if you see, probably you get two current classes, higher current, but the rest is overlap. So you were talking about, let's say, 80 to 90% overlap with PERC, but still at higher manufacturing costs. So I don't think that the two higher classes will pay for it. So if you take a look at the pure business model, that still makes lots of sense. But of course, from a marketing perspective, to have really high power modules in your portfolio, that's another ball game, right? And this is the situation we are in right now. If you compare TOPCon versus PERC, we still have a huge overlap. And I agree, probably TOPCon is advancing to a point where the costs are very, very comparable. But I think there's still some ways to go, and until that. And I would predict that's going to be the next 2 to 3 years. PERC will be the better option for your earnings.
Okay.
Yes, I do think what this previous speaker mentioned is absolutely right. I mean, in such kind of if you calculate these things, it is does make sense. But what I'm saying is that. What I see that especially in China, most of the lines are converting or moving towards the next generation solar cells. So that window of opportunity is definitely shrink for PERC at some point.
But
yeah, Dirk, please.
I also agree that the window for PERC will be reduced. I think we should remember when the PERC was introduced into the market. So it takes, when we at Schmidt, Christian, you know it very well, when we started first PERC line worldwide. So it was in 2007, I think. And when we placed the first turnkey lines were at RC. So it takes, at the end, takes 7 years to come from the beginning of very first proof of shown that this process can be done in high production. And we have now the situation that the PERC is the mature, stable, well-known technology, and now is the time for the other technologies. They will not penetrate into the market like a big flash that you have, okay, now everything is up, is the other lines. It will take some time, but at the end, it will come to the same situation what we have here. And what we have, and as I'm old bird from the PERC part and also from TOPCon, so I've also developed processes for TOPCon, like the oxidation steps, the dry ozone. So I have my heart in both of these technologies, but from my personal view, I think we have now two competitive technologies. That's heterojunction and TOPCon. TOPCon is more like an upgrading in existing environment and technology part. Heterojunction is more the new advanced with a higher potential. What we have also seen recently with the world record cells. So, and I think this is something, it will not move in one to the next year. We will take a few years, but the heterojunction will then increase, TOPCon will also increase, and step by step, the PERC will disappear from the market. But it is a fluctuation path. It is not one day shot.
Okay, so Balchinder, I would like to put this question to you in a different way. So for you, when you are really in the last stages of building your, starting finalizing your project. So is it PERC TOPCon ready equipment that you are looking for, or you are already looking for TOPCon? If you are allowed to share.
Yeah. So I can put it. I'm going to answer this in a very generic way. So what most of the people in India, especially the manufacturer, does is they are still in the transition from multi to PERC. So they want to run this PERC equipment for at least, let's say, 1 to 2 years. And then once all the problems related to TOPCon, the yield issues and silver paste laydown really comes down. And that is when most Indian manufacturer wants to get into TOPCon. This is the basic fact. However, it also depends on your business model. Some of the bigger manufacturers directly gets into TOPCon or even HJT, where they wanted to directly go for a premium market. Yeah. So, and we see that PERC has a theoretical efficiency limit of maximum 24.5, while TOPCon go up to 28.7. And TOPCon has already crossed 25 in the production circumstances, as Jinko has already proved that. So if a manufacturer decides to go mainly for selling for export market, then they go for direct TOPCon. And if the manufacturer wants to focus mainly on the domestic, then he will still stick on to PERC, because I don't see a market for TOPCon in India for next 1 or 2 years. Yeah.
And the beauty is that a TOPCon line can be used as a PERC line, right?
Yes.
So you don't have
but just to answer your question completely, so most of the manufacturers who are going for the equipment, they are ensuring that it's TOPCon ready. So at some point, yes, not most, everybody. So they are ensuring that two things. One is it has to be TOPCon ready, and second one is it has to be processed until 210 millimeter sizes. So these two things are major things which all the equipment manufacturers are focusing.
Yeah, I think this TOPCon ready was. Sorry, please.
Please go on. Yeah, Shravana.
No, I think this TOPCon ready was really the invention of Indians, because first time I heard it at REI, because in China it's always either PERC or TOPCon. It was very straightforward, but at REI I heard this word like TOPCon ready. So that means basically you are going ahead with the PERC, and in future you will upgrade. No, I think that's great. So when you were about to say something, sorry.
Yes. I just like to comment on this one. I think that especially this last couple of years, I feel a personal feeling is that there's a new trend on the equipment supplyment and the whole market. How to move from the PERC to the next generation, or specifically TOPCon, as we have shown to the world that that equipment suppliers, perhaps it's a trending thing that supplies a turnkey solution. As today, I think that many of your speakers in previous presentation had all mentioned about the turnkey solution. So these gives a heads up to the market area, like in India. So that's why you mentioned it's TOPCon really PERC lines. I'm not surprised at all, because since last year we already learned from our customers, which has this kind of discussions, and now it's a demand for this type of things. This is I think this trend, the turnkey solution becomes very important. For example, in this case, why I think this PERC window is shrinks, because we provide the turnkey solution for the TOPCon that has only marginal difference in terms of cost, but in turn you will get a higher this better sales or primary sales for your products, and that gives our customer a head advantage to enter the market quickly. And then the TOPCon technology is gradually matured, and you can convert TOPCon back to PERC if you want. But I think that once you have tasted the sweetness of TOPCon, you probably would not like to go backwards. So this is, I suppose, it's my personal feeling. It's a trend for that. So you see, it's much more cost effective to invest to the TOPCon in the next coming couple of years.
Well, I would claim, Wei-Min, that most of the TOPCon lines are also used as a PERC line. So I don't think necessarily, for me, it's a bit awkward because this is sort of like you have a car and you go to the tuning shop and you make it run 20 miles per hour, run faster, but it uses more fuel, right? But still you enjoy this from time to time, but most of the time you drive slow because you want to save the fuel, right? And this is the same with TOPCon. For me, there's no TOPCon versus PERC. So this is like PERC is within TOPCon, right? And each manufacturer.
Yes, I like these words.
I can do 1 week PERC, and the next week I can do TOPCon, depending on my order intake from my customers, right? If what
exactly,
they want.
Exactly.
About this evolution, and this is of course the disadvantage. Sorry, Dirk. Of the heterojunction line, because that does not fit into that evolution line, right? So
yes. I think you create the new words and new terms to the PV industry, PERCing TOPCons. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, I would really love to talk. I think the topic is so interesting. We can talk for hours together, but I think in 3-4 minutes we have to close. So really, can you tell me, so we talked about PERC, Dirk also talked about heterojunction. So what are the key attributes of these technologies? Maybe Dirk for heterojunction. So what's the key levers?
So I think I can directly answer on this on Christian's comment. So the main part is, for example, we have to think about, now we are talking about big wafer size. So and what is the next step we are talking? The next step is thin wafers. So every process sequencing, when we look at what is the highest cost, we are not talking about what is the cost of an RDH layer, what is the ITO cost. At the end, it is the silicon. So the thin silicon will be part of the next step, and this is one very big advantage of the part of heterojunction, they have the access to thin wafer processors. It is the very mature and well-placed technology in the market, as based on 25 years or 30 years now from when you look back on Sanyo, Panasonic. So the big advantage is a very small environmental impact, means low footprint, high throughput, high efficiency, and of course the full capability for thin wafers below 100 micron. And when we look back in the past, many people talk about, M0 wafer will survive, and we talk in something, I think it was 2006 to 7 when we talked first time about 210 wafers, and it takes a lot of time when it moves into this direction. And now we are talking about 140 micron wafers, which are typically in some of the productions. The next 2 years, we are talking 120 micron. And then we come with a high temperature process, definitely on their limits. So I think there the biggest advantage of heterojunction is to be the next path for the high throughput, low cost production. And it is not only the machine, it is the environment, the building, the facilities, and there will be definitely replacement of a expensive silver paste actually on heterojunction.
Balchandar, do you want to say anything?
Okay, yeah, actually, I wanted to disagree on one comment which Dr. Wei Min told, that the capex part of TOPCon is only slightly higher than PERT, but that's not the case when it comes outside China. It could be the truth when it comes inside China, maybe hardly 4 or 5 million, but that's not the case. It is still sold as a premium when it comes outside China. Yeah.
Okay, agreed.
Okay, so I think we don't have really a lot of time. We have to close the conference. So before I close, I want to ask one final question. You know, the Europeans really want to go to 30 gigawatt capacity by 2025 along the value chain, but have it only for silicon. And then US Association is also looking for 50 gigawatt by 2030. So how much production capacity will we actually see at the time in the different regions? So China, rest of China, Southeast Asia, Europe, India. So what will be the global production landscape really looks like in 2030? So will it be more China dominated as it is today, or will it really look different from what it is today? Everyone, please, in one sentence, or 1 or 2 sentences.
Okay, I started again.
Okay, please, sir.
Yeah, so I think it in the moment we have definitely a very high domination of the Chinese market. It will be reduced, but as a single market, I think China is too big that it can be replaced by a second one. But there will be definitely all of these countries, also South America, Middle America, and will move up. Maybe also in future North Africa. So we will have many of these small places where we will have additional production, but there will be ranking. I think China #1, and then there will be US, Europe #2, and then it goes step by step to the other country areas.
Remy?
I agree.
Yes, I think that I agree with this trend. That's definitely is true, because after all, this the cell structure is relatively simple, and you can multiply in different geographic different locations. Definitely.
Christian, you have?
I also agree.
Anna?
Growth will be everywhere, but it will be also 2030 dominated by China, the worldwide manufacturing capacity.
Yeah, I completely agree with everybody. So China will be still dominating, but overall share will be less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. I really loved this discussion. Yeah, wish I had more time, but yeah, we have to give the dais to Michael. So thanks a lot, everyone. Dirk, Wei Min, Christian, Balchandar, thanks a lot for your great insights.
Thank you.
It was very nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Likewise, very nice meeting you all. And
Nice
thanks for the
meeting you,
discussion.
everybody. Thank you.
Michael,
Okay.
it's up.
Yeah.
It's now.
Okay, then for the final words, you spare 1 minute with me, please. So to everyone, once again, thank you. Great panel. I think I learned a lot, and I'm always happy to say that. And I think manufacturing is, and unfortunately, in these somewhat segmenting world, so important today and on everyone's agenda. So we are seeing, of course, more and more actions around the world. So it's great that we have also many players still active in that field. Who can actually help to serve those needs. And let's hope actually that everyone around the globe is getting their act together, as the Chinese in their visionary way did it very early on. I think the Americans, it looks like they've done it now. India too. Europe is inching forwards. Let's see how fast that goes, but at least it's on the radar and things are happening. I think the next message is supposed to come mid-March when the head of the European Commission will make another big announcement to support initiatives in Europe. In any case, great event. I think it's really important. So much is happening. So we want to continue with Taiyang to keep that platform with cell production. We also complement that with our reports, and we will do that also with several other events. You can read actually all what we are doing in our reports. We are reflecting what's happening in the market and also what we learn in our conference. Go please to our websites. I think the last report that we published was the one on backsheet and encapsulation. I think it's a nice and very comprehensive overview on what's going on in that segment. Next week, we will come out with an overview on what we expect for heterojunction. And we're also working on several other reports. Regarding events, you might have seen that we're also moving to new waters. So our first event on solar and sustainability will take place in a month from now. We have already some big companies who are sponsoring that event, LONGi, Jinko, and Ryzen. We are seeing the Chinese having sustainability also a lot on their mind, the big players, and we're just building the conference. So if you're interested, please get in touch. Otherwise, you're also happy to just attend. Once again, thanks to the sponsors, thanks to the presenters, thanks to the panelists, and finally, last but not least, to the Taiyang News team. Thanks again and have a nice day. The presentations will be hopefully available by end of week on our YouTube channels. Bye-bye from Taiyang News.